Discover 3 sinister caving experiences that revealed haunted secrets of the forbidden depths. Lisa stood at the mouth of the Garrison Caverns, heart pounding. It wasn't just the thought of the darkness that flooded her mind. It was an instinctive fear, sharp and electric, whispering that something unspeakable lay just beyond the crumbling entrance. The cave loomed like a gaping maw, ready to swallow anyone audacious enough to venture in. Her daughter, Mia, was glued to her phone, oblivious to the palpable tension that hung in the air. The chill around them felt alive, almost like it was trying to pull them in. "Mom, do we have to?" Mia murmured, glancing up with the weariness of a teenager dragged out of the house. The swirling fog in the depths of the cavern felt ready to whisper secrets more chilling than any high school gossip. They stepped forward, the crunch of gravel beneath their feet the only sound slicing through the heavy silence. It was strange. Could the cave be breathing? The walls closed in around them, darkness coiling tighter, as if inviting them deeper. Each step they took seemed to echo downward into unseen depths that gnawed at Lisa's resolve. She gripped her flashlight tightly, the beam of light casting wild shadows that danced like specters against the jagged walls. In the darkness, they stumbled upon symbols, crude, claw-like etchings that warned them to turn back. As they edged closer, a groan reverberated from deep within the cave. Lisa's pulse quickened. There was something alive down here, something that didn't want them here. Dread twisted in her gut as a sound like wailing rose in the air, frozen gasps of voices echoing lost sorrows. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Advancing deeper, they discovered blood-stained tools scattered along a ledge, each tool telling a tale of anguish, of desperate last moments clogged with despair. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and reality twisted. This place, this cursed enclave, was a graveyard of dark memories best left undisturbed. Panic bubbled as they stumbled into a small alcove, where crumpled clothing lay like the discarded remnants of a nightmare. "Mia, we should go," Lisa whispered, her voice trembling under the weight of the darkness around them. Just as she turned to flee, Mia's flashlight flickered, casting an eerie glow against a side wall where a grotesque altar rose before them, draped in shadows. It was like stepping into a horror film. A fleeting shadow darted just beyond their periphery, chilling Lisa to the bone. As if the cave breathed once more, the shadows seemed to pulse, eager to choke any ounce of hope they had. They fled back toward the entrance, their hearts racing, but the darkness lurked behind them, growing bold. When they emerged outside, gasping, night had horrified the suburb into something unrecognizable. There was an unsettling stillness, streets too quiet, as if they had broken a curse. As they hastily made their way home, the glow of their phones betrayed them. A message blinked onto the screen from a number they didn't recognize. "You shouldn't have gone in there. I'll be watching." Chills washed over Lisa. The thrill of exploration had unearthed something terrifying. An invisible predator was stalking them, and the solace of suburbia twisted into an unseen threat. Who could it be? What had they awakened? Questions spiraled in her mind as fear clutched at them both, a new adventure and terror beginning to unfold. Lisa barely slept that night. Each creak of the house sent spikes of dread racing through her. What had they awakened in those dark depths? The shadows of the cave lingered in her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that the cave was only the beginning. The unsettling silence of morning was heavy, stretching the hours. She heard a faint tapping against her window. When she looked, instinctively pulling the curtain aside, no one was there. Only the wind teasing the branches of the tree outside. Or was it something more? "Mia," she called, urgency tinging her voice. "Get up. Check your messages." They needed to understand what they were dealing with. Mia stumbled into the kitchen, bleary-eyed, phone in hand. "What's up?" Lisa was on edge, skimming through the anxiety tangled in her throat. "Did you get a message from that number?" "Yeah, the creepy one. I don't know who it is." Mia's tone was dismissive, brushing off the cold sweat on her mom's brow. "Just some weirdo." "No, We can't ignore it. This is serious. They crowded around the phone, Mia holding the screen light towards her face. The message blinked ominously. I'll be watching. What does that even mean? Mia squinted. I don't know, but we need to be careful. We have to decide what to do next. Before they could form a plan, a thunderous knock echoed through the house. Staring at each other wide-eyed, Lisa took a tentative step toward the door, hand trembling on the knob. Stay back. The door creaked open, revealing a figure cloaked in shadow, features obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. You shouldn't have gone in the cave, a voice rasped, low and guttural. They're awake now, and they're hungry. Lisa's heart raced. There was a predatory edge to the figure's tone that made her blood run cold. Who are you? She stammered, desperately clutching the door for support. Just a friend, the figure replied, stepping forward into the dim light seeping from the hallway. The warm glow shone on pale, pointed features and eyes that glinted dangerously. I've been waiting for someone like you. Someone who makes the wrong choices with the evening sun flickering into night. Lisa's instincts screamed for her to close the door. But her feet remained planted, frozen in place. Get away from us, Mia interjected, running forward. The figure turned to Mia, a twisted smile creeping across its face. You can't escape the darkness. It's calling you. You can feel it, can't you? In that moment, Lisa felt the air grow thick and suffocating with dread. Instinctively, she yanked her daughter back. Mia, go grab something, anything. They retreated to the living room, Lisa frantically searching for some form of protection, all while the figure stood at the door, patiently watching them. It's only the beginning. Your nightmare is just starting, it called out, the voice dripping insidiously. The lights flickered as if in response, casting looming shadows on the walls that felt alive with unseen eyes. Lisa glanced nervously at Mia, who stood pale and speechless. They huddled together, the question burning in the air. What did the figure know? Had they unintentionally summoned something more horrifying than either had imagined? Mom, what do we do now? Mia's voice was small, cracking under the weight of their fear. Lisa swallowed hard, racing thoughts colliding in her mind. We find out who that was and what it means for us. But a sense of foreboding clung tightly around them as they prepared for the storm that loomed ahead. Something dark was drawing near, and they were at the center of it. As they looked at the door, the knock came again, this time louder, more aggressive. Time was running out. What else lay waiting just beyond that threshold? The knocking became erratic, a frantic drum against the door that matched the racing pulse in Lisa's throat. She darted a glance at Mia, who was staring wide-eyed, her breath shallow and quickening. Mom, we can't just stand here, Mia whispered, her voice trembling. What do we do? We need to get something solid, Lisa murmured, tearing her gaze from the door. She scanned the living room, searching for anything that could serve as a barricade or a weapon. The figurine of a bull on the shelf caught her eye. It was heavy, made of some dark metal. She lunged for it, gripping it tightly. Here, she said, showing it to Mia. This should help if it comes down to it. Mia took a step back, uncertainty etched on her features. What if it gets in? What if it already has? Lisa felt the weight of those words. The back of her mind echoed with the figure's dark promise. They were not alone. As if in response to her thought, the door shuddered under another powerful blow. Brick by brick, the resolve in her heart crumbled. The lights dimmed again, flickering like a faulty bulb, casting ominous shadows that seemed to writhe and twist around them. Lisa moved instinctively, pressing herself against Mia and the wall, heart hammering, mind racing with images of what might lurk beyond the door. Without warning, the figure's voice slipped through the cracks, smooth but laced with malice. I can help you, if you let me in. No, Mia shouted, her voice cracking with fear. Don't listen to it. But what does it want? Lisa muttered, her mind grappling with the gravity of their situation. Your choice led you to the cave. The figure continued, its tone shifting. You awakened something ancient. It's hungry, and it won't rest until it has fed. You can choose to be the sacrifice, or share the feast with others. Mia's face twisted in horror. What does that even mean? Before Lisa could respond, a deafening crash erupted as the door burst open, the frame splintering under the weight of the impact. The figure stood there, silhouetted against the pastel sky shading into night. Its eyes burned like embers, hungry and insatiable. Join me, it beckoned, extending a long, skeletal hand towards them. The darkness can embrace you, if you let it. Every instinct screamed for Lisa to run. Yet, terror rooted her to the spot. Mia pulled at her arm, dragging her back. Mom, we can't. We can't. Mia, we have to get out of here. Lisa shouted, the urgency slicing through her panic. They moved toward the kitchen, heartbeats thunderous in their ears, but the figure stepped into their path. A sickening grin curled its lips, baring sharp teeth. The air felt charged, thick with the scent of decay. What's behind you, little girls? It cooed, voice dripping with sickly sweet malice. Are you certain you want to know? Lisa caught her breath as a low growl, an unearthly sound, echoed from the shadows behind the figure. It was coming from within the house, forcing her to turn her head. What is that? Mia's voice trembled, eyes wide as a shadow slunk across the floor, deep and menacing. Then it dawned on Lisa. Something from the cave had followed them. The pulse of dread weighed heavy in the air as they turned slowly, the emptiness stretching on behind them. They were trapped, surrounded by unnameable horrors both inside and outside. The choice lay before them, tangled with the pull of darkness. Run! Lisa screamed, adrenaline surging as she and Mia bolted past the waiting figure, towards the sliding glass door leading to the backyard, unsure of what waited. Would the darkness follow them? Just outside, the moon hung heavy and red in the sky, an omen of the chaos that would soon engulf them. As they flung themselves into the night, the figure's laughter curled behind them, echoing, promising even worse horrors lurking in the shadows. But what awaited in the dark was only the beginning. They stumbled into the backyard, night closing in around them like a blanket. The croaking frogs and rustling leaves filled the silence, but an oppressive weight settled over Lisa's chest. She looked at Mia, fear mirroring in her daughter's eyes. The figure lingered at the threshold, motionless but radiating cold dread. Where do we go? Mia panted, glancing back, as if to gauge how far the darkness had chased them. Run into the woods, Lisa replied, pointing to the tree-line that loomed just beyond the yard. Before they could move, the sound of footsteps crunched on gravel behind them. Lisa felt her heart drop. The figure was coming through the door, slow and unervingly deliberate. An inky shadow slithered at its feet, pulsating and writhing, eager to join the hunt. They sprinted towards the trees, each step heavier than the last, as if the ground itself was trying to hold them back. Mia's breath hitched. Mom, what if it gets us? Keep moving, Lisa hissed, pressing on despite the panic tightening around her throat. We can't stop. Branches whipped across their faces as they veered into the underbrush, the whispers of the wind competing with their terrified gasps. Lisa could hear the shadows rustle behind them, a monstrous chase taking form. A howl, distant yet near, pierced the night, chilling her to the bone. The woods seemed alive, each tree a witness to their flight. The moonlight slashed through the leaves, illuminating their path sporadically. Lisa focused on the sporadic glimmers, each one drawing her deeper into the thicket. But as they pressed further, the air grew dense and stifling, the familiar night sounds fading into an unsettling stillness. Why do I feel like we're going in circles? Mia whimpered, her voice a fragile thread in the heavy silence. I don't know. Just keep. Before Lisa could finish, a guttural growl echoed from somewhere nearby. They froze, and in that moment of stillness, as if the woods themselves held their breath, eyes glinted in the dark ahead. Shadows coalesced into forms that stretched beyond any sense of reality. Lisa's stomach twisted. Mia, we have to hide. She clutched her daughter's arm, pulling her behind a thick tree trunk, heart hammering as they pressed against the bark. The growling intensified, mingling with the skittering whispers of the forest's unseen dwellers. It was a cacophony of terror, the devilish laughter from outside, the haunting howls nearby, and the pulse of darkness constricting around them. What if it's watching us? Mia whispered, her voice barely a breath. Lisa could feel her daughter trembling against her, and her own hands were slick with cold sweat. I don't know, Lisa stammered. Just then, the underbrush rustled violently as a figure broke through, its silhouette jagged and distorted against the backdrop of the moonlight. It wasn't the figure from the house, but something else, something equally, if not more, terrifying. In a flash, Lisa caught sight of jagged teeth and empty eyes that reflected the moon like knives. Adrenaline surged, propelling her to act. Run, she breathed, and they dashed deeper into the trees, their pounding footsteps now a frantic rhythm amidst the growing chaos. Suddenly, a chilling voice seeped through the shadows, a whisper that clawed at Lisa's mind. You chose to awaken me, don't you want to know what else lies in your path? Lisa's instincts screamed at her to ignore it. But that voice held a strange allure, tugging at her curiosity even as terror suffocated her. What else could be out there? What lay beyond the veil of darkness? The ground fell away beneath them as they stumbled into a clearing, the moon now bathing them in a silver glow. Lisa gasped as she noticed something strange ahead, a massive rock formation resembling a mouth gaping open. Mom, Mia whimpered, but Lisa was already moving, drawn inexplicably toward it, each step heavy with a mix of instinct and fear. As they approached, the world fell silent once more, leaving only their breaths in the crushing stillness. The opening loomed, a gateway promising both danger and revelation. Would the answers they sought be found within, or would they only open the door to greater nightmares? The darkness was hungry, and they were inching closer to the feast. The moment they stepped closer to the rock formation, Lisa felt a disorienting energy thrumming through the air. It was as if the very earth around them held its breath, waiting for a sacrifice. Dark tendrils of fog snaked around the edges of the mouth like entrants, as if trying to pull them in. Mia, wait. Lisa grabbed her daughter's arm, the child's wide eyes reflecting the pale moonlight. Panic coursed through her veins. This place felt wrong, too intimate, too inviting. The whisper beckoned again, insistent, curling around her thoughts. This is where truth lives, and truth comes at a price. Mom. Mia trembled. I don't want to go in there. I don't either, Lisa murmured, heart racing. But they couldn't stay in the open. The growls and rustles had intensified. Something was out there. Lisa looked back at the swirling darkness. The shape beyond the trees drew closer, a whisper of limbs, jagged and hungry. We have to move, she said, steeling herself. They stepped through the maw, the rock scraping the back of Lisa's neck like an ice-cold hand. Inside, the air thickened. An oppressive darkness enveloped them, and it felt like the walls were pulsing, breathing. Their footsteps echoed in a warped symphony of dread. Lisa could hardly see, but there was a faint glimmer somewhere deeper in the cave, a pulse of light, beckoning. Mom, I can't. Mia's voice quivered, cutting through the suffocating quiet. A shiver ran down Lisa's spine as she realized the darkness didn't just conceal. It threatened to swallow them whole. Just hold my hand, Lisa replied tightly, squeezing her daughter's tiny palm. I promise I won't let go. They ventured farther, the oppressive weight of silence pressing down around them. The light flickered, revealing jagged stalactites that hung like teeth ready to chew them up. The shadows danced along the cave walls, creating shapes that twisted and turned into something grotesque. Mom, Mia whispered, her voice barely above a breath. What if something lives here? What if it does? Uncertainty gnawed at Lisa, but greater danger lurked behind them. They pressed on. Desperation drove them deeper into the cavern. The whisper returned, softer this time, a serpentine hiss that curled inside her head. Seek the heart of darkness, and you will understand. The glimmer increased in intensity, drawing them like moths to flame. They stumbled upon a circular chamber, illuminated by that eerie, otherworldly light. Lisa froze, heart pounding as she recognized the texture of the walls covered in strange, pulsating symbols that seemed to shift beneath her gaze. Mom, Mia pointed, her voice rising to a terrified squeak. In the center of the chamber lay a dark pool, water black as ink, swirling slowly like a living thing. The pool seemed to pulse rhythmically, almost inviting, yet there was something deeply unsettling about it. Lisa felt a magnetic pull, something primal stirring within her. Don't go near it, she yelled, snapping back to reality. But the moment passed. The allure was beginning to infiltrate her own mind. What lay beneath that dark surface? What answered her unasked questions? Suddenly, the echoing growl broke again from the entrance, now more urgent, more fierce. It was too close, and they were cornered. Lisa could feel the walls beginning to close in as the shadows thickened. Mia, come on, she shouted, dragging her daughter back, but the shadows were restless now, writhing with hunger. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony designed to deafen her resolve. Join us, Lisa. Surrender to the truth. Stop. she screamed. The darkness shuddered. The symbols on the walls began to pulse and sink. The pool rippled, and with it, visions erupted in Lisa's mind, a swirling mass of fear, of memories she didn't want to see, of things best left buried. What if it's all true? She thought, horrified as the echoes intensified. "Mom!" Mia cried out, her voice strained. "I'm here." Lisa swallowed hard. There was no turning back. They had to act, but what choice could they possibly make now? With the growls approaching fast, the chilling voice chuckled, a promise of revelation gliding through their skin. "You're already a part of this tale, but would you like to know why?" The chamber brightened for an instant, illuminating the depths of the darkness before plunging them into chaos anew. Fear clawed at their backs as they faced their looming fate within the cave's heart, and the choice they dreaded awaited under the surface of unyielding shadows. Would they find a way out, or would they be devoured by the truth that lay waiting deep within the darkness? Time was running out. The darkness pressed in on all sides, thick and oppressive. Lisa felt a tingle of panic creeping up her spine as the whisper wound tighter around her mind. Surrender to the truth. It was both terrifying and strangely seductive, like a song that lured you into a sweet oblivion. "Mia, we need to get away from that pool," she yelled, her voice echoing strangely in the cramped chamber. With urgency, she pulled her daughter close, scanning the walls for an exit. But every direction looked the same, a swirling confusion of darkness and light. The growls from the entrance were no longer distant. They reverberated through the air like the drumming of a heart. "Mom, what do we do?" Mia shouted, the desperation in her voice pulling Lisa back. The chamber pulsed around them, the pulsing symbols seeming to breathe, almost mocking their fear. As Lisa looked down, the surface of the dark water rippled, and something glimmered beneath it, a fleeting memory, a face she thought she had long buried. The reflection of her past danced through the pool, pulling at her heart and festering the dread growing within. "What if I know who I really am?" She screamed, shaking her head violently as if to dislodge the thoughts. "We can't let it take you too." The shadows started to extend towards them, tendrils of darkness eagerly reaching out. She grabbed Mia tightly, not daring to blink. "We need to find a way out. Fast." Suddenly, strange laughter echoed from the depths of the cave, a chilling sound that made Lisa's blood run cold. "You can't escape the truth, you never could." Mia flinched at the words, her small hands trembling in Lisa's grip. "Mom, please stay close to me." Lisa growled, forcing herself not to look back at the pool, not to succumb to the allure bubbling just beneath the surface. "We can't let it get us." As they moved, the chamber felt alive, squeezing them tighter, trying to swallow them whole. Each step forward was like pushing through molasses. The shadows clawed at their feet, rising like ghosts in the night, whispering promises of understanding, of freedom, but at a price. What kind of price? Lisa wondered as doubts gnawed deep within her thoughts. She could almost hear the echoes combining with the laughter, a horrific symphony composed of dread and seduction. "Mom." Mia tugged on her hand, eyes wide with terror. "The shadows are getting closer." A sudden crunch interrupted the air, followed by a shriek that sliced through the darkness, the sound of something breaking free of the underworld. Lisa turned her head instinctively, just in time to see a figure emerging from the shadows, obscured but unmistakably there. It was tall, gnarled, with limbs like branches twisted in agony. "Mia, run." They sprinted toward the furthest wall, where the air felt cooler, a fleeting promise of escape. Yet the growls rose in fervor, a cacophony closing in around them. Lisa's heart thundered in her ears. They couldn't keep this pace forever. "Mom, what is that?" Mia whimpered, gasping for breath. "Don't look. Just keep moving," Lisa urged, but in the corner of her eye, she could see it, an ethereal glow breaking through the dark. It shimmered around the edges of the shadows, both terrifying and beautiful. The growling grew louder, merging with the hissing of the whispers that grew angrier, more insistent. "You cannot escape. Join us. Join." But Lisa couldn't afford to falter now. Desperation fueled her. "There," she yelled, pointing at a jagged crevice in the wall. As they dashed towards it, the shadows lunged forward, eager to claim them. Cold fingers grazed her back, and Lisa felt her breath hitch. "Mom." They dove through the crevice, narrowly escaping the grasping darkness. The shadows howled behind them, like a wounded beast seething with rage. But as they crawled through the narrow passage, Lisa's heart sank. It didn't feel like an escape. It felt like they were only delaying the inevitable. What lurked behind them wanted them back, for the truth would always find its way, wouldn't it? The narrow passage opened into another chamber, a chamber filled with light, but not safe. In the center, the remnants of old bones littered the ground, an offering left behind. Are we safe? Mia's voice trembled, her eyes scanning the room filled with the remnants of past sacrifices. No, Lisa whispered, choking on the words. The full weight of the cave's darkness still lay heavily on her heart. There was no safety here, only a deeper understanding of a fate they couldn't escape. The whispers began again, softer this time, alluringly sweet. Welcome to the heart of darkness, but what awaited them was far from the truth they sought. As the glow around them began to shift, Lisa felt dread settle in her gut. What lies would they discover next? Mom, what happens now? And at that moment, the answer seemed to shimmer in the darkness, filling the air with an unsettling promise. What truth awaited them still remained unclear as they braced for what was to come. The light grew brighter, a strange, hollow luminescence that offered no warmth. Lisa squinted against it, dread clawing at her throat. The bones scattered beneath their feet crunched softly, creating an eerie serenade to the despair surrounding them. Mia, keep your eyes up, Lisa warned, her voice steady despite the surge of terror in her chest. She stepped around a skull, the empty eye sockets seeming to gaze at her with judgment. A chill ran through her, and she felt the darkness closing in again, its malevolence almost tangible. What if they didn't leave? Mia whispered, her small voice breaking the oppressive silence. Don't talk like that, Lisa snapped, forcing optimism she didn't feel. We're just exploring. There's nothing here but old bones. But she could hear the tremor in her own voice, the cracks betraying her facade. From a shadow near the edge of the room, a figure emerged, its form blurred and shifting. Lisa's breath caught as she instinctively stepped back, pulling Mia in close. Stay behind me. The figure drew nearer, and as it stepped into the light, it took on a horrific clarity, a face twisted with anguish, eyes hollow, and filled with a yearning that sent shivers down Lisa's spine. Join us, it whispered, voice dripping like honey but bitter with despair. No, Lisa shouted, pulling Mia against her, trying to shield her from the sight and sound of the wraith-like figure. Stay away from her. Yet more figures began to emerge, creeping from the darkness, each one holding a piece of the remnants that littered the floor, shards of stories forever untold. Lisa could see now that the bones weren't alone. There were fragments of symbols carved into the stone walls, each glinting with a sickly green light, as if pulsating with life. "Mom," Mia cried, her voice breaking. "What do they want?" Lisa felt like the air was being sucked out of the chamber, leaving no room for her thoughts. "I don't know." The figures drew closer, their whispers blending into a cacophony, a nightmare chorus inviting her to listen. Surrender to the truth, let go. Sweat dripped from Lisa's brow as panic surged through her. "We have to get out." She turned abruptly, searching the edges of the chamber. But there was no way back. The passage they had crawled through felt like a swallowed memory, lost in darkness. Suddenly, a blinding burst of light shot forth from the center of the chamber, catching every ghostly figure in its glow. Lisa felt a heat wash over her, both terrifying and strangely comforting. In that moment of brilliance, she saw images flash across her mind, her own past, moments she had suppressed, murky and haunting. A confrontation with her own memories. "No," Lisa screamed, stepping back as if to break the spell. But the light held her in its thrall. Not now. Not here. She could feel the otherworldly pull gnawing at her soul, threatening to expose truths she was desperate to bury. "Mom." Mia's small voice quivered like a feather in the wind, drowning beneath the chaos of whispers. Lisa turned back, ready to reassure her daughter, but the words disintegrated in her throat. Amidst the swirling figures, she caught a flash of undeniably familiar features, of face from her past, one she had long tried to forget. It was true. The truth she feared was staring back at her. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her heart pounding as she took in the sight. The world began to twist like a storm, the atmosphere thickening with tension. What have you done? The figure lamented, its voice now mocking and bitter. Then suddenly, the chamber began to collapse around them, the shadows animating frantically, clawing at the walls to consume the light. Lisa grabbed Mia's hand, desperate to break free from this nightmare. But the tendrils of darkness were upon them once more, pulling at their bodies, their souls. No, she shouted, a surge of adrenaline. We're not done yet. They bolted forward, the pair moving through the choking throng of wretched whispers and skeletal faces. Beyond the impending darkness, Lisa's eyes latched onto a flicker of light, the only beacon of hope in this abyss. But just as they reached the edge of the brilliance, the figures wailed, their voices a cyclone of agony. You cannot escape what you have done now, Mia cried, pressing closer to her mother, heart pounding against her ribs. With a deafening crash, the floor split beneath them, yanking them down into the chaos, falling through the layers of truth that beckoned them back into the void. As the ground fell away, an unsettling realization dawned. This nightmare was only just beginning. Mom, what is happening? And with a flash of blinding light, Lisa felt the ground disappear and the darkness envelope her once more. The truth would emerge from the depths whether she wanted it to or not. What horrors awaited them in this infinite plunge? The darkness wrapped around them like a suffocating shroud, swallowing every hope they had. Lisa could barely register the sensation of falling. Panic surged through her, the screams of the figures still ringing in her ears, echoes of despair that threaded through the void. Mia, she gasped, struggling to grasp her daughter's arm tighter. Mom. Mia's voice was a thin thread, breaking in the nothingness. Lisa squeezed her eyes shut, fighting the urge to scream. She filled her mind with thoughts of safety, of sunlight, of the warm embrace of home. But the darkness pulsed and throbbed, wrapping around them, shattering every fragment of light. Suddenly, they landed with a bone-jarring thud. Dust and debris enveloped them, and Lisa rolled over, panicking as she searched for Mia. Mia, are you okay? A weak whimper broke the suffocating silence. I'm here. Relief crashed into her, but it was fleeting. The familiar whispers returned, swirling around them, penetrating Lisa's thoughts. The abyss watches. It knows you. It remembers. No, Lisa shouted, hands clenched into fists. Leave us alone. But the shadows seemed to laugh, creeping closer with each jagged breath she took. She felt trapped, instinctively scanning the dim surroundings. The rock walls glistened oddly in the faint light. Every crack seemed to writhe, as if the very stone were alive. There were no visible exits. No way out. Mom, what is this place? Mia's voice was filled with dread. I don't know, Lisa admitted, steadying her breath. We just have to keep moving. There has to be a way out. Cautiously, she helped Mia to her feet. They stepped through the thick gloom, the ground beneath them uneven and treacherous. As they ventured deeper, Lisa could hear a rustling, the sound of bones scraping against stone. She held Mia's hand tighter, steeling herself against the creeping fear. The shadows swelled as they trudged on, twisting into grotesque shapes. Faces morphed into horrifying masks of anguish, each one vying for her attention, dredging up memories from the darkest corners of her mind. Join us, they echoed, their chill voices sending shivers through her body. In the trembling darkness, Lisa's thoughts raced. They were not simply in a cave. This was a tomb, a prison for the souls they had seen before. We need to find the light, she said, determination clawing its way to the forefront of her thoughts. That's our only chance. But each step felt heavy, as though the atmosphere itself refused to let them escape. The whispers transformed into anguished cries, and Lisa's heart sank as she recognized the voices, the faces that had flickered in the light. Friends, family, lost souls pleading for deliverance. Suddenly, Mia's grip slipped from Lisa's hand, and a horrifying scream pierced the air. Mia? Lisa spun around, fear clutching at her chest. Shadows darted away into the cavities of the darkness, and she felt an overwhelming sense of dread sink in. Mia? She screamed again, voice cracking. She frantically searched in every direction. Where are you? The sound of her own heartbeat thundered in her ears, drowning out everything else. Then, from the shadows, a small voice called back. I'm here. Relief flooded Lisa, but it was quickly swept away by the mounting terror as a dark figure loomed behind Mia. It raised a bony hand, and she saw the glint of teeth forming a ghastly grin as it whispered sweetly, but with malice, "Join us no." Lisa barreled forward, instinct overpowering caution. She threw herself in front of Mia just as the figure lunged. They collided head-on, and a shockwave erupted, sending them both sprawling. "Run!" Lisa screamed, yanking Mia towards the tumultuous darkness. They stumbled back, the malignant whispers raising their pitch, clawing at the very essence of who they were. As they fled, the walls around them began to tremble, the once stony ground shifting like quicksand. Shapes began to rise along the walls, grotesque reminders of those who couldn't escape, faces melting into the stone, forever locked in agony. Terror gnawed at Lisa's insides, and yet she pressed on, her voice hoarse with desperation. "Mia, we can't look back." But that familiar voice, sweet and tantalizing, echoed once more in the shadows. "You cannot flee what you are. Come closer." Then the ground quaked, shifting violently beneath their feet, making them feel like marionettes caught in a ruthless storm. "Mom!" Mia cried, eyes wide with fear. The world began to crack again, fissures appearing as darkness threatened to consume them whole. The figure reemerged, more defined now, lurking like a predator. Lisa felt her heart stall as she faced this relentless force. What lay within the depths? Perhaps some hidden truth, but truth could be far worse than ignorance. With one last surge of strength, Lisa clung tightly to Mia. In that moment, she resolved no matter the horror lurking ahead, they would fight. As the ceiling crumbled, the darkness closing in fast, Lisa took a deep breath. They could not succumb, they had to push through the waves of despair. "Mia, trust me. We have to jump," she yelled, just as the abyss yawned open beneath them, ready to swallow them alive. And as they leapt into the unknown, the chilling whisper followed after. "You're already part of us." What awaited them next? Only the abyss knew. The moment they hit the ground, an unyielding force struck them like a midnight wave, tossing them apart. Lisa skidded across damp earth, panic igniting as she scrambled to find Mia. "Mia?" Her voice cracked, desperation spilling over. "Mom," came the faint reply, echoing off unseen walls. The darkness stretched on, impenetrable and thick. Lisa fought to breathe, the air growing heavier with each passing second. She caught sight of Mia, crouched low, back pressed against a jagged stone. Shadows lashed out around her, flickering with malicious glee. "Stay away from her," Lisa shouted, stepping between the lurking shadows and Mia. The shadows recoiled, as if stung, but then they twisted around Lisa, draping over her like merciless serpents. She could feel them pulling, gnawing at her sanity. "Stop this!" She hurled her words into the blackness, and for a fleeting moment there was stillness. But then the whispers returned, wrapping tighter around her mind. "You belong here, too. Join us now." Rage surged inside her, burning away the fear. Adrenaline shot through her veins. "We will find a way out." With renewed determination, she reached for Mia, her small frame shivering. "We need to keep moving. It's the only way." Together, they pressed onward, their footsteps muffled by the creeping undergrowth beneath them. The walls felt alive, breathing with every step, and the darkness seemed to absorb the last remnants of hope that flickered between them. Suddenly, a cold breeze gusted past them, carrying with it the reek of decay. Lisa's stomach turned. What was that? Before Mia could respond, a low growl resonated from deeper within the tomb. It sent an ice-cold shiver down Lisa's spine. They froze, frozen in sheer terror as dread clawed at their throats, making it hard to breathe. "Mom, I want to go home." Mia trembled, eyes wide, glistening with unshed tears. "Me too," Lisa whispered, barely able to form the words. The shadows seemed to thicken at the sound of Mia's plea, pulsing around them. "Then home is here." The voice slithered through the air, deceptively sweet and tantalizing. Figures began to materialize from the darkness, wretched souls, twisted and fragmented. Their hollow eyes burned with an insatiable hunger. "Join us, it's peaceful here." Lisa's heart pounded against her ribcage. "No," she screamed, tugging Mia's arm as they took off again. "Run." With every turn and twist, the shadows morphed into sinister shapes, grasping at their legs, claws raking like insistent fingers. The haunted faces flickered with mockery, taunting them. They surged forward, adrenaline fueling their flight. Then the ground shifted ominously beneath them. Fissures opened, exposing yawning chasms that threatened to swallow them whole. "Mia, jump!" Lisa yelled, her voice echoing in the tunnel. Mia was right beside her, eyes wide with terror. "I can't." Now. Together, they leaped over a ragged hole that had opened underfoot. As they soared, time stretched into a haunting eternity, shadows reaching for their ankles, cold fingers grazing their skin. They landed hard, tumbling onto rough stone. Pain shot through Lisa's leg, but she pushed it aside, urgency coursing within her. She scrambled to her feet, reaching for Mia. "Get up. We can't stop." The growls intensified, shifting from a low rumble to a ferocious roar. Fear coiled tightly in Lisa's gut. They couldn't continue running blindly. "We need shelter. Somewhere to hide." "Mom, look." Mia pointed down a narrow crevice, almost hidden in the mass of stone. Racing towards it, they squeezed into the tight space just before the shadows surged again, pouring out with haunting wails. The dampness enveloped them, the air thick and suffocating. They pressed against the cold rock, hearts racing, as Lisa tried to gather her thoughts. "What do we do now?" Mia's voice quivered, a mix of fear and exhaustion. "Just wait," Lisa whispered, listening intently. The growls faded, replaced with eerie silence, heavy and foreboding. But that silence was shattered when a single whisper broke through. "You can't hide forever." Lisa's blood ran cold. Whatever lay outside the crevice was still hunting them. The tomb's embrace was far from over. The shadows were merely waiting, and they weren't alone in the darkness. What horrors awaited them when they finally stepped out? Only the darkness could reveal the truth. Silence reigned in the crevice, the cold stone walls pressing in around them. Lisa could feel the weight of the darkness, heavy and suffocating, but a glimmer of hope flickered inside her. They had survived this long, they could do it again. "Mia, we need to stay quiet and listen." "I can't," Mia whispered, fear dripping from her voice. "What if it comes back?" "We'll figure it out." Lisa hushed, her own doubt creeping in, but she wouldn't let it take hold. "Just breathe." Time stretched on painfully, each second pulling taut as they waited in the darkness, hearts pounding against their ribs. Shadows glided past the entrance of their crevice, whispering promises that twisted Lisa's stomach. "You can't hide forever." The voice curled around her thoughts, alluring yet terrifying. Suddenly, the growls returned, feral and hungry, echoing through the tight cavern. Lisa felt her heart race, each pulse a reminder of their impending doom. "Mom," Mia squeaked, gripping her arm with trembling fingers. "Shoo." Lisa pressed a finger to her lips, eyes darting to any slight movement. Backing away cautiously, Lisa held her daughter close, the chill of fear pooling in her gut. They needed to find a means to escape this haunting place. "Mia, can you see a way out?" she whispered urgently, peering into the abyss of darkness. "A light!" Mia exclaimed, pointing toward a faint flicker deeper in the crevice. "Let us go." With renewed determination, they edged toward the beam of light, a beacon piercing the claustrophobic gloom. Each inch they moved felt like a small victory, the growls receding slightly behind them. As they inched closer, the walls trembled, and Lisa's breath quickened. The light grew brighter, illuminating strange carvings lining the passage, a chaotic blend of symbols that told tales of ancient horrors and lost souls. "What if it's a trap?" Mia's voice quivered as they reached the opening, the luminescence lighting a small, circular chamber ahead. "It could be our only chance," Lisa replied, taking Mia's hand firmly. They hesitated for a moment, exchanging fearful glances before stepping into the light. The chamber unveiled itself like an awakening nightmare. In its center, an altar of scraggly stones surrounded a deep, pulsating pool, shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Dread filled Lisa's veins, the images of the lost souls mixing with memories that she didn't want to confront. "What is this place?" she breathed, both in awe and terror. "Mom, I don't like it." Mia stepped back, fear radiating from her. Before Lisa could respond, the shadows that lurked outside surged forward, ominous forms filling the chamber. "You belong here," they chanted, their voices merging into a chilling symphony. "Join us, let go now." Lisa shouted, gripping Mia's hand tighter, her mind racing. We're not here to stay? But the pool pulsed suddenly, sending tendrils of darkness swirling outward, trying to intertwine and consume them. Come, let me show you the truth. One of the darker figures approached, its visage resembling a grotesque mockery of Lisa. No, she shouted, defiance surging through her. We will not give in. The ground shook as the shadows screamed in agony, twisting in reaction to her rejection. You cannot escape your fate, Lisa, they howled, the room around them seeming to vibrate with every word. Stay close, Lisa urged Mia, dragging her toward the exit they had just come from. As they turned, the tendrils lashed out, but this time, Lisa stepped into the light, pulling her daughter along. Sprint, she urged, heart racing as she felt the shadows claw at her back. They darted through the narrow crevice, the growls of the dark entity using furious momentum to pursue them. I can't, Mia gasped, her legs trembling. Don't stop, Lisa shouted, adrenaline fueling her feet. They emerged from the crevice into a wide chamber lit by a haunting glow. Bone fragments littered the floor, remnants of those who couldn't escape. It's a graveyard, Mia whispered, horror filling her eyes. Just keep moving. Lisa pulled her daughter forward, ignoring the chilling whispers echoing. The growls were rising behind them, eager for the prey they had almost claimed. They sprinted from the chamber, navigating through the cave's ever-changing layout. Every turn felt familiar yet alien, like a funhouse horror where every pathway spiraled into another hell. But they pressed on as fear propelled them. Then, as they pounded down a corridor, the cave began to shift. The walls crumbled, darkening around them as the shadows dove for them again. Vines of sinuous darkness wrapped around Lisa's legs like vines from a cursed flick, pulling her back. Mia shouted, panic splintering her voice. No. With a surge of strength, Lisa tore free, scurrying forward just as a blinding light erupted from the deep recesses of the cave. They flew toward it, each determined breath pushing them closer to freedom. At that moment, everything changed. The darkness wrongfully promised freedom, but pulled against their very souls. You will never escape. The anguished wails intensified. They could feel the cave's heartbeat, a reminder they were merely passing through, echoes of former lives. Jump! Lisa yelled as they reached the mouth of the cave, the light spilling through and illuminating their path. Using the last of their strength, they lunged into the brightness, feeling the shadows behind them erupt into furious rage. They broke through the threshold, the sunlight spilling over them like a warm embrace. Gasping, they landed freely, the daylight feeling foreign after the endless darkness. But as Lisa turned to embrace the sun, the cave behind them loomed ominously, its mouth still waiting, ready to devour again. They stood, panting heavily, tightly grasping each other as hands two lost souls who narrowly escaped. But the truth was etched into Lisa. The darkness was not vanquished. It was merely biding its time. She looked at Mia, fresh resolve igniting her spirit. We have to warn others. No one should go in there. Mia nodded, but Lisa could see the fear still flickering in her eyes. This is only the beginning. As they turned toward home, a weight settled in her chest. They had escaped the physical darkness, but the shadow of their experience would haunt them, like a cold wind tugging at their backs. Lisa took a deep breath, gripping Mia's hand tighter. Together, we'll fight, she promised, gazing towards the horizon, where new adventures awaited, holding their truths and their shadows. And just as they reached the edge of the woods, a final whisper echoed behind them. You can never escape. The darkness was always there, just beyond the light, waiting. But their story would be written anew. The shadows might linger, but as long as they stood together, they would find the strength to face whatever came next. They were alive, and that was enough. If you enjoyed this journey, you need to subscribe now for more exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what lies ahead. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who should witness this conclusion. Let us keep the adventure alive.